Your home for picks, props, and futures for tonight's action. Bettor Sports Betting wants to know what picks you're playing tonight. Tell us in the live chat on YouTube, Twitter, and the Bettor Sports Network app. This is Bettor Sports Betting with Fantasy Alarm's Dan Servodidio.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome in here to the Bettor Sports Betting Show on Bettor Sports Network and Fantasy Alarm. What's going on, everyone? And what's going on, James? Thanks for joining me twice this week now on this Thursday. What's up, man?
What's going on? Happy Thursday, Servo. Thursdays mean one day closer to the weekend. Not that that matters much in this industry because like weekends are just as busy as weekdays. But yeah, I mean, doing good. Yeah. Back in the swing of things. Shout out to John for allowing me to be on the show twice with you this week, since he's posting pictures that he's in Greece right now. Like I was messaging him. He said he was eating a boatload of pizza when he was in Italy. Like what a nice life he must be living right now. But happy to be here and not in Greece, Servo. I'm happy to be here and not in Greece.
Yeah. The beaches look nice there that he's sitting on right now. So yeah, shout out to him. Hopefully he's not watching this because he should be, just watching the waves lap into the beach there. But yeah, we got plenty of baseball to talk about today. We got some games going on this afternoon that we'll be tracking and maybe throwing out a live bet or two. We got plenty of bets to make for tonight's games, player props and all that. And we'll be doing some MLB futures talks as we did on Tuesday. Me and James did doing some AL part of it, AL playoff picture and division in the AL Central, AL West, and all that. So we'll dive into some of that later if you're looking to lay down some futures bets. But yeah, we got some games going on now. I mean, you got any early bets going on? Early DFS lineups you're tracking?
Yeah, early DFS lineup. I didn't play anything, any bets. DFS lineup looks okay. When you pivot off a couple Texas Rangers that have hit home runs, that stings a little bit, but can't write my lineup off yet because I stacked Angels and White Sox. So long road ahead for the rest of the night, Servo.
Oh yeah, that Angels White Sox game starting up in a few minutes, and I wanted to throw a pick out to everyone because this is just one of those bets that's just kind of rinse and repeat until it stops cashing consistently, and it's just Shohei Ohtani props. I mean, I'm going over on his. Why not go over on his total bases, his runs scored, his hits, runs, RBIs, like anything you want to dive into. And he's got great numbers in his career against Lance Lynn. So it would have been a pick I gave out on this show for like tonight's games if that was tonight. But, I'll be definitely tuning into all of Ohtani's at-bats while we're on the live show here. So, I mean, until he cools off, dude, it's just why not just go with his props every night?
Yeah, and and the thing about Ohtani in this matchup and what I kind of liked about the Angels in general, if you wanted to play some props here, because they do have a decent amount of lefties in their lineup. Not just Ohtani, Mickey Moniak, former first overall pick, Mike Moustakas, the recently acquired, hitting 5th, Matt Tice hitting 7th, and then they have two switch hitters 8-9. Lance Lynn has been very, 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 very emphasis on the first 6 berries bad against left-handed bats the entire year. And he has his 16 strikeout game, but it's against the Mariners who have no lefties, like pretty much up and down their lineup, except Jared Kelenic and Cal Raleigh. 305 ISO allowed, 452 WOBA allowed to lefties. If you wanted to literally play any bet on the Angels side, like you can get pretty good odds. Like I'm gonna just take a look real quick because
minus 135 on the money line's not bad at all.
Yeah,
if you want to go that route, but
a little scary. Only thing I'd say is Patrick Sandoval's been a little scary in his own regard, and the White Sox have hit lefties like relatively well. So I think where I would live in the betting market would be just Angels lefties, like Mickey Moniak plus money for over 1.5 total bases is pretty solid. Andrew Velasquez, if he gets on, a guy who's been stealing a lot of bases lately, plus 425, like a juicer there. If if you want to just lay down a couple dollars. So I think Angels lefty props would be my favorite thing in that game.
Okay. And so we got the other games going on. Yankees A's. It's a 1-1 right now in the second. No perfect game for Clark Schmidt, right?
Yeah, no perfect. I'm shocked. I'm shocked there's no perfect game.
Yeah, no perfect game there. 1-0 for the Rays over the D-backs right now, and that one's early. Getting late with the Guardians and Royals, 2-0. And then the Tigers Rangers tied at 3 in the 7th inning there. So we'll be tracking some of those. Tigers, man, they're just feisty with these Rangers.
Yeah.
They're pushing the Rangers even on the road here, and have been this series. So interesting there. All right, let's get to our best bets tonight and our top picks for tonight's baseball slate. James, what's your top pick here?
Yeah, so my top pick, and it's something I did the Prize Picks video over on Fantasy Alarm today, and I'm just going to parlay it into my top bet of the day. Kyle Tucker over 1.5 total bases, minus 130 on DraftKings, and it's largely due to the matchup here. And we get a matchup against Adam Wainwright, who, let's face it, he's just past his second prime. He's past like the twilight years of his career. He honestly, this is just kind of, run its course. And Adam Wainwright's been a great pitcher for a long time. He is not that guy anymore, pal. 323 ISO allowed to lefties, 490 WOBA allowed to lefties. He's allowing a lot of fly balls. He's allowing a lot of line drives. He's allowing a 45% hard hit percentage. So it's just all bad for Adam Wainwright. Kyle Tucker coming off multiple hits last night. He has 4 extra base hits over his last 5 games. And, he's been historically good against righties this year. He's been good, not great. Last year, he was great against right-handed pitching. But I think another just negative in the Wainwright camp is in 9 of his starts this year, 8 times has the opposing team had 7+ hits. And in 6 of them, it's been 8 or more hits. Like, it's just constant traffic. And he's been better against at home throughout his career. But I really think the Astros are going to get to him. They have a very good implied total tonight, 5.2 runs. They hit right-handed pitching well. Kyle Tucker in the forefront of that. So give me Kyle Tucker over 1.5 total bases.
Yeah, I like that. I almost went with Kyle Tucker as my home run call for today's show. And for your tweet, your daily home run tweet over on Twitter that everyone gives out their predictions there. I almost went with Tucker. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he goes yard and definitely goes over that total bases prop. And my best bet is just right in line with that. And this will help my first 5 over 5.5 here. It's just in this full game. I think both these offenses are going to have success early. I mean, you kind of broke down the side with Wainwright just being so, it's just not going well for him right now. I mean, you went through it, but you got to wonder how much longer, if he keeps having these bad outings, how much longer he's, sticking in that Cardinals rotation. As good as he is and just like a stud for St. Louis for years, but it's not great right now. He got shelled for 7 runs in that London game against the Cubs. But he's allowed at least 3 runs in every start this season. So if you kind of factor that into the first 5 over here, the Astros just crushing right-handed pitching lately overall as a team. 368 WOBA, 228 ISO over the past week against righties. And then the other side, JP France, he's due for negative regression. 496 FIP and a 438 expected ERA are notably higher than his 354 ERA right now. I think the rookie is going to have 1 or 2 bad outings coming up. He's kind of gotten by against some easier matchups. And the Cardinals are, their top 10 offense over the past 2 weeks against right-handed pitching. So I think France can run into some issues early here on the road. So I'm looking at the first 5 over. Almost looked at the full game over too, but it was a little high for my taste at 10, I think. So I'm just looking at the first 5.
Yeah. I like both of those, truthfully, and I've not liked JP France pretty much all year, especially against right-handed bats where he struggled specifically. I'd assume we don't have a Cardinals lineup out. but like it could be
Yeah.
pretty top heavy with righties. I know they bat Nootbaar third and Donovan first yesterday, but if we see three of the top five in Goldschmidt, Arenado, and Contreras tonight, I think that's pretty potent. So I'm with you. I love the over in the first five, and I love the over honestly, probably for the game because I don't expect either pitcher to be in there for very long.
Yeah, and Jordan Walker, I have a
True.
pick coming up on him in a little bit. But he was off yesterday and he's supposed to be back in the lineup today. So yeah, I might be going with another prop for him because he's in this matchup against JP France. Yeah, I just he's got an 83% left on base rate this year and a low BABIP too. So just kind of one of those rookie pitchers who's skated by a little bit and just kind of overperforming. And I think the Cardinals offense, they've been better. They've been going through some rough patches this year, but playing a little bit better lately. So I think they'll push France here. And yeah, I feel bad for Wainwright, man. It's just like you see this thing about him, deactivating his Twitter account. Like Cardinals fans are all getting on him, I guess, on Twitter, and that's a shame to see, especially because he's just one of the Cardinals. He's one of the best over the past decade for them.
I mean, it's just sometimes you run your course and like probably should have hung it up, but he decided to come back for one hurrah. And we've seen this time and time again that like legends sometimes just hang on a little bit too long. And this seems to be the case with Adam Wainwright.
We got a question in chat. Better Boss commented in saying what's
going on, Matt?
Yeah, what's up, Matt Deutsch? So his pick yesterday is 2 top MLB favorites parlay. I guess on the money lines, he's parlaying it. It lost last night, but he's back at it today with the Dodgers and Mets parlaying those two together at plus 125 odds. The Dodgers are minus 210 favorites over the Rockies right now, and the Mets with Scherzer on the mound minus 190 against the Brewers. I might have a pick. I'll just go to it right now because I got a pick that's disagreeing with Matt Deutsch here. I like the Brewers on the run line, and I probably will back them on the money line too, plus 160. But I'm just going the safer route on the run line here. Scherzer's not sold. I'm not sold on Scherzer yet. He's had these very shaky, very up and down outings. Some of his metrics are the worst that they've been in a while. Like his strikeout rate, the worst it's been since 2011. Hard hit rate and barrel rates highest they've been since they started tracking it back in 2015. Just kind of some question marks I have. He's pitched well in some recent outings, but his FIP at 4.13 is higher than his ERA right now. I'm not. I think the Brewers, they have a bad offense, yes, but they're not much worse than the Mets recently. So especially against right-handed pitching, and the other side is where I actually have a little bit more faith is Adrian Hauser. Back in the Brewers rotation here after getting demoted to the bullpen, I kind of think that's going to light a fire under him to have a good outing here. This happened last year to Hauser, just kind of looking back, and he came out his next start and had 5 strong innings and only 1 earned run allowed, and that was in Coors. So he's a guy that I think is going to kind of take this to heart and have a better outing here. If you look at his stats this year, so he's got his ERA is not great, 4.02. But his FIP is actually lower than Scherzer's, even though his ERA is higher right now. And if you kind of look at his game logs, he had 2 bad outings, but one was really bad against the Blue Jays, and that kind of skews his ERA. And if you take those 2 starts out, he's been really solid, and he has like an ERA around 2 in his other outings this year. So I think he's gonna be better than what his ERA and what this run line and money line says. I think, the Mets are rightful huge favorites because it's Scherzer against Hauser on paper. But I think that the Brewers are just being a little undervalued here. And then the last part that I just kind of pushed me to this run line for the Brewers, the Mets they haven't been great lately. They're 3-8 in their last 11 games. Brewers are 8-4 in their last 12. So The Brewers are just one of those teams trending a little bit up now. The offense is actually playing a little bit better. And, the Mets offense is still just very up and down. I don't trust them much right now. So, the Mets might win, on that money line, but I'll take the run line at least.
Yeah, so that's how I think I view this. I could see a very close game, which would keep me away from the money line on the Brewers. Obviously, like that's the better for your money, but I do like. I mean, the Brewers are just one of those teams that win a lot of close games because they have very good pitching and very good bullpen. Like their offense has not been really that good, other than the first month of the season, really. My worry with them specifically is like Scherzer's one flaw this year has been obviously the strikeouts are down, but they're still good. It's been the power. Like this is the most power Scherzer's ever given up. And Milwaukee, like traditionally you think, oh, well, Willy Adames and Christian Yelich and Rowdy Tellez. If this was like last year's version, you would be like, oh, well, this is an issue for Scherzer because all three of those guys had 25 plus home runs, but like they haven't been that this year. And excluding Yelich for the most part, because Yelich has definitely been the most consistent of the three. That would be my only worry for the Brewers, I'd say, because they have, like, if you go back to their April-May stats or just April in general, they were top 10 in most offensive categories against right-handed pitching. And now you look at overall against right-handed pitching, and they're like bottom 10 in OPS, they're bottom 10 in ISO.
Yeah, not great.
So, like, I definitely could see them keeping it close because I do agree on the Hauser front, and like it's a pretty good matchup. He just needs to get past some Mets lefties here because that's where he struggled the most. But the Brewers bullpen is going to keep them in literally every game because you get to like Pagero and Devin Williams at the end of the games, and they don't give up any runs.
Yeah, and that was actually one of my notes here that I forgot to mention was that the Milwaukee bullpen has been a lot better than the Mets bullpen lately. A 1.80 ERA over the past 2 weeks for the Brewers pen against the Mets relievers, having a 4.33 ERA as a bullpen there. So yeah, I think that when you get in the later innings, once you get Scherzer out of the game, if they kind of keep it close enough, I could see them getting a couple runs, make it interesting late. So yeah, I mean the Mets, the money line for the Brewers is still, obviously a little risky. You get some better return. I like the run line there at least. Yep. If they lose by one, I'm still fine with it. So, all right, what else you got for tonight's games?
So I'm going to your homeland here, Servo, and I like Taijuan Walker and the kind of the groove that he's in. So I'm going to go over 4.5 strikeouts for Taijuan Walker, minus 105 on DraftKings. And I'm like interested by this game in general, right? Because it's in Chicago, and anytime you see Chicago and you see a over under of 10, immediately your brain's like, all right, there's wind and it's gusting out, it's flying out, it's going crazy, like it's 5 miles per hour. Like it's not. There's just a moderate, summer breeze in Chicago. And Kyle Hendricks has pitched well, but Taijuan Walker has definitely pitched well. He's found his groove. He has pitched deeper into games. Each of his last 4 outings, he's picked up a quality start. And each of his last 4 outings, he's accrued 4 or 5 plus strikeouts. So then you take a look at the opposition, and the Chicago Cubs are a team that strike out a lot. They're top 10, 8th in strikeout rate specifically against right-handed pitching. That's much been the case in the month of June. And that's part of having Christopher Morel in your lineup every day. You live and die by the sword, right? Like strikeouts and home runs come aplenty with Christopher Morel in the Cubs lineup. But I've loved what I've seen from Taijuan Walker lately, and I feel pretty good nearly getting plus money on a strikeout prop that he's hit now in 4 straight games against one of the clubhouse leaders in strikeouts. So give me Taijuan Walker, who's pitching deeper into games, which only obviously will lengthen and expand the opportunity to get 5 plus strikeouts. And we weren't getting this guy earlier in there. As you know, like I'm sure a lot of Phillies fans were calling for his head. That has not been the case. and he's even beaten the Dodgers during this span. He beat the Mets over this span. So I really am backing Taijuan Walker. I would really be interested in this game in general, just parlaying something into like an under, because I think Kyle Hendricks has been vastly underrated this year. I like Taijuan Walker quite a bit today, and I'm not afraid to show it.
I like that. Yeah, I can back this strikeout prop, because the other thing that, if you're a Phillies fan, then you realize what the situation is with this Phillies rotation right now. Walker's thankfully been pitching a lot better, but Nola last night, he did fine enough to give the Phillies a win there, but he only lasted 5 innings. He wasn't as dominant as he probably could have been. So lasting only 5, and the Phillies have to go to the bullpen a little bit earlier than they probably would have hoped. And then tomorrow, they have Christopher Sanchez coming into the rotation to start. So, which probably won't be a long outing for him. And I think they want to plan to use, have relievers, some of their longer guys available. So to your point, I think Walker is probably going to go deep tonight. They're going to look for 6-7 innings from him at least here. So I think that helps push the strikeout prop even higher. So yeah, I can back that.
Let's go, Servo.
I'll go the other way with a strikeout prop here and take an under on Jesus Luzardo, going against on the road here at Fenway, going against the Red Sox. The matchup here is what has me at the under, because Luzardo is, we know that he can get to 7-8 strikeouts, and he has been a lot this season. Actually 10 of his 16 starts this year have been over this 5.5 prop. But I'm looking under here because he's been a little bit worse on the road this year. He has a 5.63 ERA. Yeah, 5.63 ERA on the road compared to a ERA at home. He's been a lot better at home, 2.65 ERA at home. And in his road starts, he's been under 5.5 strikeouts in 3 of his last 5 road outings this year. And averaging just 5.5 strikeouts per road start this year. And he's on the road here against the Red Sox, which we know they're a stud offense at home, one of the best in the league at home. But against left-handed pitching, they're very tough when it comes to like strikeouts and just getting on base. They have a 20% strikeout rate, which is the 6th best in the majors against lefties this year, and a high 10% walk rate, which is also top 5. And then since the start of June, it's even lower. Strikeout rate against lefties for Boston is down to 16%, and the walk rate up to 11%. Both top 5 marks as well in the majors against lefties. So this is a tough matchup for Luzardo, and I mentioned some of his struggles on the road, and the Red Sox just being great at home too. So I'll take the under here, plus money on FanDuel to go under here.
I know this isn't apples to apples, but like if you want a good example of why you back the under here, it's Braxton Garrett pitched against the same Red Sox last night, coming off 9, 8, 13 strikeouts in his previous 3 outings. He had 2 in 5, and that cut short. That start was cut short due to the rain and whatnot, but he pitched 5 innings. He had 2 strikeouts. A guy who has had 6 or more strikeouts in like 10 or 9 of his last 10 starts. Like, they just don't strike out against left-handed pitching. So I love that. I think that, that could have been right up there with your best bet too. Like that's a quality find there at plus money. Well, at plus money, like that's a great find.
Yeah, and I mean the 5.5 is also just very telling. It just kind of tells, when I see this for like a guy like Luzardo, you mentioned same thing with Garrett. I mean, Luzardo's been striking out like 8 guys in multiple starts lately, and 8 or more. And when I see this prop at 5.5, it just kind of put my alarm on, and I just instantly, I knew the Red Sox were tough against lefties, but I wanted to just check those numbers. And over the past couple of weeks, I mentioned they are very tough in the strikeout department. So, yeah, I'll take the under here. And you mentioned it with Braxton Garrett also having some issues there. Yeah. So what other picks you got for tonight?
Dodgers run line -1.5 is -140. Like, I know it's not juicy, but like, I mean, Chase Anderson is just, he is so dusty. And like, I know he was getting like extremely lucky at the start of his season. And like every game, it was like, when is Chase Anderson inevitably going to blow up? Well, that has happened over the last two starts. And very rarely do you see team implied totals of 7, Servo, but that's what we have tonight. 7.2 implied runs for the Dodgers tonight. And they didn't have a full strength lineup yesterday. They gave a lot of guys rest. Like Miguel Vargas hit 5th, Miguel Rojas hit 6th. Like, it was a semi weird and bad looking Dodgers lineup. And they still put up a decent amount of runs. Tonight it's going to be full strength, and they hit right-handed pitching as well as anyone else in the league. And just like when you look at the numbers that Chase Anderson has allowed this year, I mean, God, like, everything is bad. Just no, everything is bad. The peripheral stats have caught up to what the real stats now look like. And the Dodgers are sending Emmett Sheehan to the mound. And although there's been like a little concern with the power, a little concern, and a little concern with the walk rate, especially against left-handed pitch batters, like, although Colorado, has the buff of being at home, they're still a bottom 10 team against right-handed pitching in the league on the year. They only have one, two, four confirmed lefties in their lineup, which is what gives Sheehan issues. I don't see them running into many issues, them being the Dodgers tonight, and Sheehan especially. So I'm going to take the Dodgers run line, because I think this is going to just be a blowout. Like, if Chase Anderson pitches like he has the last two starts, he might give up another 10 runs like he has in his last two starts. So I'm going to go Dodgers run line -140 over on DraftKings.
Yeah, it was interesting last night. The Rockies won 9-8 in that game, just like a high scoring game. But you mentioned, I mean, the Dodgers offense still put up 8 runs, and I think they could probably do something similar or better. You mentioned their high implied run total, and if Sheehan and the bullpen can kind of limit the Rockies' bats. So I guess you might be more in line with Better Boss back in that parlay with the Dodgers in it, because you like the run line, but all he needs is the money line there. I got a pick that's kind of going against this one, because I'm looking to target Emmett Sheehan a little bit, and I'm doing it with Ezequiel Tovar. He's been on fire lately. He went on paternity leave, but he came back and he's still been good this week.
Dad strength,
he's been over. Strength. Yeah, right. I don't know it yet, but I know you do, so I'm gonna trust you. But yeah, he's got that dad strength, and he's been over 1.5 total bases in 4 of his last 5 games since coming back. And he's also riding an 11-game hitting streak, hitting .357 over his past 7 games. And he's hit safely in 20 of the 22 games during the month of June. The guys just quietly get it done, even though the Rockies stink. He's hitting second in the order I'm seeing right now that came out. So he's going to get enough at bats that we like this prop here. And he's hitting 280 at home this year in cores, which helps, and he's hitting 280 as well against right-handed pitching this year. And Emmett Sheehan, he's been solid. You were going through it. He's been solid in his first 2 starts. It worries me a little bit just with this in cores. I could feel like he could give up, a few runs and maybe a few more hits than we've seen already. He has a 5.27 FIP, which is a little bit worrisome for him. But as long as Tovar gets over the total bases here, we could still have that Dodgers run line cash.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he did go over, and this was a high scoring game, but the Dodgers pull away. Like, it is just naturally hard to pitch in Coors Field, and We just saw Clayton Kershaw 2 days ago twirl a shutout. But like when you look at the Rockies' numbers against lefties, like they're bad at home against lefties, let alone like on the road. They're dreadful. So like they have been better against right-handed pitching for sure. So I'll definitely grant you that. I'm not sitting here thinking like Sheehan is going to like throw this masterpiece because it rarely happens, but he has been undeniably good over the last, I mean, even like the one he had the 0 for 5 in Boston dating back on June 12th. And before that, he had like a 6-game hitting streak. Like the guy's just been hitting for all of June. So I like Ezekiel Tovar, and I love that they moved him up in the lineup because they needed more anything because they weren't getting it for the first month and a half of the
year. Yeah. He's hitting second behind Profar and has been for a while now. Yeah, you mentioned so. So Tovar, and he's actually one of my underdog plays as well. If you've checked that article out, and James mentioned he's got the Prize Picks video, so go check that video out for some more plays tonight. And we were talking about some of them here, but you can hear more in depth explanation from him there. And if you haven't already, go get the All Pro subscription to Fantasy Alarm. You can get the DFS playbooks for tonight's slate, all DFS tools and advice for MLB and every other sport, PGA. We had some Drew Phelps PGA playbooks and example lineups for today's tournament, the Rocket Mortgage tournament, and everything. I mean, Best Bets article out earlier today from Howard Bender. So we got plenty of picks out there, and if you have that All Pro subscription, then you get the Fantasy Alarm Fantasy Football Draft Guide for free. If you have that subscription. If not, then it's only $26.99. But either way, get in on this draft guide while you still can, because we got new articles coming out every day, off-season storylines, ADP risers and fallers, rankings, rookies, IDP, everything. So get in on this draft guide right now. And all right, let's get to some more picks here. What else you got riding tonight?
Quickly, Mickey Moniak home run to lead that game off. Just lefty striking against.
Oh, there you go.
Lefty strike against Lance Lynn. If anyone bet that right before the game went live, good for you.
Good call. You nailed that. It's over his total bases already.
One at bat, just done over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, whatever you need. Mickey Moniak gotcha. Former first overall pick.
Ohtani, 0 for 1.
Strikeout. Yeah, struck out in the first. Go Lance Lynn, go.
Yeah, you mentioned I was a Phillies fan. Phillies fans know full well who Mickey Moniak is.
And, he was your guys.
We shipped him out.
Yep.
We shipped him out because he really never put it together. He's thankfully, I like to see that he's playing a little bit better and actually getting playing time with the Angels now. But
he's been good. He's leading off. He just hit his 8th home run.
I know.
8th home run of the year. Servo, I'm sorry, I know.
Dude, he's hitting ahead of Trout in the Ohtani lineup. That's awesome for him.
That is that's all. As you say, that's awesome for him, and you whisper like "mother effer." Where was this when we needed you?
Well, I think they traded him for Noah Syndergaard, who
that's a great deal.
Is no longer on the team anymore, and
great deal. It's a great one. To win, that's a winning deal.
We thought we were getting Thor, but instead we just got Noah.
You got just Noah. Yeah. That was ooh, nice. I like that one. I had nothing, so I'm happy you came out. You just had a home run right there. Back to it. Lamonte Wade is someone that I'm interested in, and over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. And I love, and it's something that I've done kind of religiously at this point, is target lefties against Chris Bassett. And I think Chris Bassett is like a very good pitcher overall, but he has a major flaw. And that major flaw is pitching to left-handers. He cannot get left-handers out. Like, he walks them at a 10% rate. He allows a 319 ISO. He allows a 414 WOBA. His fly ball rate is 9% higher than his ground ball rate. His hard hit percentage allowed is 20% higher than it is against righties. Like, he does nothing well against lefties, and lefties have given him fits the entire season since he's gotten to Toronto. And it's a good hitting environment in Toronto since they moved the walls in. And Lamonte Wade hits right at the top of this Giants lineup, lead off anytime there's already on the mound. And I believe, I think we got the official Giants lineup. Yeah, leading off again tonight. Just to,
Yeah.
I didn't want to look stupid. He's hitting like eighth, but he is officially leading off. And against righties this year, Lamonte Wade has been awesome. 396 WOBA, 191 ISO, nearly an 18% walk rate. And I feel like that is a very underrated aspect to the hits, runs, RBIs category, because he's likely gonna get a hit off Chris Bassett in this game. But if he does walk, we can also just bang out the run nice and early, because the Giants have a bunch of left-handed bats in their lineup hitting behind Lamonte Wade. So I love Lamonte Wade here going over the hits, runs, RBIs. It's minus 120 on DraftKings. I'm doing, I'm sorry, guys. I gave you no plus money today, but build a nice little parlay off some of this stuff, and it will count. But yeah, I like Lamonte Wade quite a bit here against Chris Bassett.
I love that prop too. I almost went with it. Same exact prop, the hits, runs, RBIs, because you just broke it all down. But the fact that he's hitting leadoff too, I mean, that just helps for the hits, runs, RBIs prop instead of just total bases. He can get one hit and score, come around to score, and one at bat. He can go 0 for 3 in the others, and we're good. So, yeah, I like that call. All right, my last player prop for tonight. I'm going back to that Brewers game. I mentioned I like the Brewers to make it interesting, make it close against Scherzer, and I like Christian Yelich here. If you look at some BVP data tonight, he is one of the top guys that's just had a history of hitting Scherzer well over their careers. 297 batting average, in a pretty decent sample size against Scherzer in the career, and 3 homers against Scherzer as well. And Yelich has been hot lately. He started out this season very iffy, very up and down, but he's been a lot better lately. 370 batting average over the past 7 games, 375 batting average over the past 15, and he's been over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs in 5 of his last 6 games and 11 of the last 15. So that's the prop I'm looking at here. Hitting leadoff for the Brewers tonight. So I think he can get a hit, come around to score at least once.
Yeah, and you always have the stolen base in your back pocket too. Like, he gets a hit and steals a base. Yeah. That could create a bad throw, and then suddenly he's on third, and
Sack Fly
scores him just like that. So yeah, I mean, I love that. He has hit righties really well this year too. 185 ISO, 379 WOBA, and he's cut down on the strikeout rate, which was an issue for a little bit. So yeah, I love Chris. He would probably be the one Brewer prop play that I would take, because the rest of the lineup.
I looked at others, but we were talking about it earlier. Willie Adames has not been there.
He has not.
Other guys. It's Yelich is getting it done right now, but the rest of the lineup is very hit or miss. No pun intended.
You're on fire today, Servo. Let's go. We're rolling.
Not even intentional. It's just coming off the clip there.
That's better. That's better, because mine are fully intentional and they don't hit. Don't hit.
Yours are enforced.
They're just terrible. Yeah, they're cringe. Yeah, my final one, I'm going to go with Adam Wainwright. I mean, we talked about it a lot. Under 17 and a half outs. I know, it's, minus 155 on DraftKings. It's going to be bet probably down by the time it closes. But, what are we doing here? I mean, we have a 10 over under. He's completed 6 innings once this entire season. And I know, he started pitching in May. But his first start, he threw 90 pitches. He has not been limited once this entire year. It's a full season of, it's a full sample. And he's getting shelled. There's too much traffic. Houston's offense is too good against right-handed pitching. I know that he has been better at home in the past this year. 7.03 ERA. He has a 2 whip. 2. How are you going to navigate the Astros lineup for six innings is what we're asking here. So I'm going under the 17 and a half outs. I just don't see it happening. again, salute to Adam Wainwright. I know Howard Bender has the story of like him calling into the show about being drafted too low in a fantasy baseball draft,
Yeah.
but like good guy and great for baseball, but like 2023 is not your year, dude.
Yeah, sometimes when it comes to betting and stuff, you have to like put aside like any vibes or feelings that you have about people, and just like obviously we all Wainwright's one of the best dudes in the league, but when you see a guy struggling like this, if they're gonna give you a prop like 17.5 outs and he can take the under, then why not? So yeah, I could back that too, and yeah, you mentioned if you don't like the juice, you can parlay it with you said you like the Kyle Tucker prop, or I like the first 5 over. You can kind of do some kind of same game parlay if you want. All right, before we get to some home run calls tonight, just want to switch gears quickly and kind of go through some MLB futures odds, because on Tuesday we went through some NL teams, some NL divisions, and chances to make playoffs, and I love that discussion that we just had. So I think now is a time where you can get some value on different teams if you think certain teams can make moves at the trade deadline or make a run after the All-Star break, or vice versa if you want to bet against some. But let's look at the AL Central first, and these odds are coming out on DraftKings ahead of today's game, so just kind of keep that in mind. But the Twins, minus 125, you could see they are the current favorites to win the AL Central. The Guardians not far behind though, plus 140, and the White Sox all the way down at plus 1100. They opened the season as the co-favorites with the Guardians, but their early season struggles, they're all the way down at plus 1100. The Tigers there at plus 3500, and then the Royals, if you want to go that route, plus 800 or plus 80,000 there. But basically between the Twins and Guardians to win this division, or you could take a chance on the Sox, I guess. How do you look at this, and any bets that you like?
Yeah, so I'm a Twins believer. I'm a Twins backer.
Okay.
I'm a Twins truther, and it's by fault. Like I know, like they're never healthy, and like everyone in their lineup and every position player this year has been literally hurt like multiple times, and I know they're gonna let me down. But of these teams, there's no way we could trust anyone else's pitching staff more than the Twins. I know Joe Ryan's coming off that game where he just got shellacked, but it happens. It was the Braves. Like the start before, he threw a 2-hitter, a complete game shutout 2-hitter, right? So like Ryan, Pablo Lopez, top of the rotation. They just got Kenta Maeda back. He looked really good in his return start. I really, really like the Twins. I like their bullpen is really good. I just don't see any other team competing with them long term. Like the Guardians could, and obviously have the second best odds to win the division. But losing Tristan McKenzie again is going to hurt Cleveland, I think, long term. He's obviously their best pitcher. They just sent Logan T. Allen back down to the minors because he can't get deep into games. Like they're relying on guys that probably would get shut down anyway. Like Gavin Williams, they called up. He hadn't pitched much in the minors. Like obviously there was going to be there's going to be a limit at some point with him. Logan T. Allen's going to have some type of limit if he gets called back eventually. Like there's nobody really, like Shane Bieber gave the Guardians an amazing outing today. 7 innings, no runs.
Yeah.
Finally, the strikeouts were there, but the strikeouts haven't been there all year. So now they're also relying on like Cal Quantrill, who's, like it's a very slippery.
Tanner Beebe.
But Tanner Beebe is another guy you could chalk up as probably going to get limited or shut down because there's that unwritten rule where you don't want to go 30 or 60 innings past what they previously threw, especially for like guys this young. So like the Guardians have a lot of questions. Now, will they go out and add somebody, I guess is the question. They need to add offense because we've talked about all year. It's Jose Ramirez and then it's everybody else. Essentially, nobody's doing their leadoff hitters hitting 259. They brought in Josh Bell to be like their saving grace in terms of power. He has 8 home runs, and that's still third on the team. Like outside of Josh Naylor and Jose Ramirez, that offense needs help. I just think Minnesota long term, even though they haven't necessarily put it all together, is the best team in the division. The White Sox have too many answers on the mound and unreliable bats. I mean, even Luis Robert has been a stud, and Eloy, when he's healthy, is a stud, but like, you know, they haven't played all too much together. Tim Anderson obviously hasn't been the same guy he's been in years past. So, and you know, the Tigers, I guess, have an outside chance if Erod comes back and continue to grow offensively. But I would back the Tigers. The Royals are out without Pasquantino. And their pitching has a ton of question marks everywhere. I think the division ends up being Minnesota, Cleveland, Detroit, Chicago, Kansas City. I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit usurped Cleveland as the second team in the division. And that this is barring no move. Look, they have like pretty good pieces that are young that just like haven't developed. Like Spencer Torkelson has 2 home runs today, and Matt Vierling is
they're up 8-3 now over the Rangers there.
They have been better. Like Andy Ibanez has been infinitely better lately, right? They're missing their best hitter in Riley Green right now. Matt Vierling has been really good leading off for them. So like there is pieces. Kerry Carpenter has been a pretty good surge, like power surge of late. So if they can continue to develop the hitters, I think they're fine on the mound too. With Michael Lorenzen every 5th day, he's been pretty good. Erod was great before his, and I know the Matt Boyd injury is going to hurt, and they still have like some question marks in their bullpen. But I think this is the Twins' division to lose, and that obviously reflects in the odds.
Yeah, and interesting when you look at like run differential, the Twins are the only team that are in positive run differential this season so far, plus 24. The Guardians are -6 there. So yeah, the Guardians are only a half game up before game started up today over the Twins. So just kind of keep that in mind of when you're betting these. But interesting, you think Detroit could possibly finish ahead of the Guardians. I mean, you're right about the pitching staff there because the Guardians pitching outside of Bieber, and even Bieber has been, some of his like metrics, his advanced metrics say he's been a little bit overperforming. So he could start to have some worse outings down the stretch. But yeah, their pitching staff outside of him is not great, not a comfortable situation unless they go out and trade for 2 arms, right. At the deadline, which they possibly could be. But even their bullpen outside of Class A, I mean, it's not something you can totally trust right now either. Right. So,
and they need bats too. Like, how many farm hands can they trade? If you remove like Ramirez and Naylor are their entire offense right now. It's their entire offense. Like,
yeah, and then Mini Naylor is doing his thing. Yeah.
Well, he hit the home run last night, but that was like the first like really productive game he's had yet. So like, and are we going to trust that from the catcher position? Like, how many you benefit from having JT Realmuto that you could trust from, and the Dodgers have Will Smith that they can trust. How many other catchers can you like definitively say like, I can rely on him in offensively on a nightly basis? There's not many. So like, first year in the majors, like I wouldn't even go as far to say like, we can definitively trust Bo Naylor long term.
Yeah, he's not, and it's not like he was a prospect like Adley Rutschman.
Right, Adley Rutschman,
he was supposed to be a stud. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, yeah. All right, moving on to the AL West here. Interesting division here because we got a lot of these teams that are, kind of unfortunate. They are in the AL West, but the Rangers, -140 right now to win the division, even though they opened at +1,000 at the beginning of the season. They are in first over the Astros by 6 games. Astros and Angels actually tied right now at 6 games back in that division. The Astros, though, at +180 to win it, even though they opened the season as the favorite. And the Angels down at +700, which is interesting because they are, again, tied with the Astros right now in those standings. But, very much juiced odds. I think maybe those odds are reflecting, maybe they trade Ohtani at the deadline. Who knows? Maybe they're going to add pieces. And then the Mariners +2,200 and the A's at +100,000 if you want to go that route. But how are you looking at this? How are you handicapping it? I guess between the Rangers and Astros to win the division, unless you want to take a shot on the Angels.
No, I'm taking a shot on Oakland. Plus 100,000. Plus 100.
Okay.
No, so
no, you can just give your money
yeah,
to me. Don't even bet that.
So I think the Rangers ultimately win the division. I think their offense is just unbelievable. I would sprinkle of the two next teams. I would actually probably sprinkle Angels in there. I don't think Ohtani's dealt at the deadline.
I don't think so either.
I think that's too hard of a proposition when you're 6 games over 500, right? It's like you're actually like this is the first time you've been in contention with Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout on your team. Like you have to. I think if anything, you're building around them. And when you look at the Angels, like they recently have added some pretty decent pieces. Like first off, calling Moniak, that has been a game changer leading off for them because he has still hitting 300 on the year. They traded for Mike Moustakas, just hit a home run off Lance Lynn. Shocker. I know lefty against Lance Lynn. Shocker again. But he's actually been good in the short time since he's been there. They have a lot of power bats. Renfroe, Ward, Trout. And they do have pieces that they can trade, a.k.a. Joe Adell, if they wanted to go add an arm, which I think they need to do. Now, Ohtani, going into the playoffs, you're okay with Ohtani, Detmers, and then one of Canning or Sandoval. Like, Detmers has been awesome, especially with the strikeouts, 94 strikeouts in 76 innings. Like, this is the guy they thought they were getting, a top-end rotation guy, and I don't think people are, like, that hip to how good he's been in that specific department. So I like Ohtani Detmers, but you need to add another piece. If they were to get another arm, I think the Angels have a serious shot because you have the best player of all time. You have maybe like this another top 5 player of all time on your roster, which is crazy to say that like Mike Trout is now like so much like behind anybody, but like Shohei Ohtani on his own team. But you have 2 of the most like decorated baseball players of all time, not decorated, 2 of the most talented players of all time on your team. They need a pitcher. So I would sprinkle Angels. Like the Astros, I think make the playoffs. I just don't think they're as good of a team as they were last year. Christian Javier's obviously regressed the last month or so. Their bullpen, Ryan Presley, has really struggled to close games. I don't think he's going to even end as the closer of that team by the year's end. I think there's definitely question marks in Houston. So I think Texas wins the division. I think their offense is the large part of it. But I would, if any of the other 2, I would sprinkle Little Angel on top.
Yeah, and the Angels, I mean, currently plus 145 to make the playoffs. I like that bet too. You know, even if you don't want to go with the full division bet, but plus 145 to even make the playoffs because they're a half game out of the wild card right now. And you know, if they win today, they could easily be ahead of the Astros in the standings and ahead of leapfrog the Blue Jays if the Blue Jays lose, that kind of thing. You know, the Yankees only a half game up in the wild card, and they're a team that could hit a skid in the second half as they have been lately. So. Yeah, the Angels definitely a team to maybe buy low on. Just kind of some disrespect on those odds, I think. But compared to like the Astros, just people, I think the name brand Astros getting a lot of betting respect. People, sports books probably just covering their butts a little bit because people want to bet on them. So, which I get. All right, let's wrap things up here because we got to get to our home run calls before we get out of here. So let's get to our daily dingers of tonight.
He'll need a rocket up his ass to catch this one. That baby is out of here.
Now that's a dinger.
All right. Who you got going deep tonight? It's going to join Mickey Moniak and Mike Moustakas tonight.
The Moose is on the loose today, Servo. And so is Jock Peterson. I've talked about it earlier with Chris Bassett and his struggles against left-handed hitters rather. And Jock Peterson's power has been on display against right-handed pitching this year. 244 ISO, 387 WOBA against righties. And where you look when you're looking at a pitcher that allows a lot of power, you're looking at the ISO department because it measures the power allowed by a pitcher by taking their extra base hits into account. 319 ISO for Chris Bassett against left-handed bats. So Jock Peterson plus 320 over on DraftKings Sportsbook in Toronto. Give me some Jock Jams going yard tonight.
I like that. I'm going with Jordan Walker here. Jordan Jelly Walker. That's a basketball player, but still going with Jordan Walker. We mentioned earlier, so I'm doing a little, Cardinals, Astros, full game. I think this game's going to be, higher scoring, especially in that first five. And, JP Francis had some issues with the home run ball as a rookie. And I think Jordan Walker, having the day off yesterday, can kind of get back on it today. I mean, I looked at his other props, his total bases and all that, because he's been on fire lately since being called up to that Cardinals lineup. So I think he's going to keep it going and get onto the home run track tonight, because he's got, a guy in France who's had some issues with that long ball. So going Walker here.
Too bad this isn't actually being played in Houston, because he actually could have hit a home run on the tracks.
There you go. I knew we had to get a joke in before we get wrapped up this show.
Let's go.
So on that note, we will wrap up here. By the way, tune in just after us here, just in a couple minutes. We got James Grande pulling double duty, as he has been a couple times this week, doing the MLB DFS Quick Pitch live show with Colby Conway from 5 to 6 o'clock Eastern here on Bettor Sports Network. So definitely go tune into that right after you're done here to get some DFS lineups in tonight. Hopefully you guys all cash on your bets today. We got some games to watch going on right now. The Angels up 4-1 over the White Sox already. We'll be tuning in. But James, appreciate your time, man. Appreciate all the bets you gave out to the people here.
Of course, thank you for having me, and we'll catch you guys back Tuesday, Servo. We're back Tuesday.
Yeah, he's back Tuesday with me, and we'll be back tomorrow, 4 o'clock Eastern, every day, every weekday here. So definitely tune in tomorrow. Appreciate it, guys, and good luck.
Bettor Sports Betting